Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With your watch page muted, simply click on that link to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected and you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. So please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. With that, I'm going to transition shortly across to my photographs so I can share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter. And if you are currently in the live audience, I would ask you politely to do the same. Please share the show on the various social media platforms that you have at your disposal. So with that, I'll say one more time, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Just got done sharing the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and once again I would ask anybody who is in the live audience to do exactly the same. If you can share your feed using the share button. Is it share? Yeah, share button, to share the watch page with all and sundry so we'll have a nice audience. But feel free also to share the join link, which is in the info box below this video. Once again, I'll do a few more plugs, why not? If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and if you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. If you'd like to join the show, there is a link in the info box. There are only a couple of rules in the show while we are live. Number one, please do not swear. Number two, please do not try to rejoin the show if you are ejected for swearing. Other than that, it's pretty much game on for anybody who wants to express their views on the shape of the Earth, be it flat Earth, sphere Earth, cell Earth, you name it. You can basically state your rhetoric, at least at the time being, completely unopposed, as there is nobody else here. I'm sure that will change as time goes on. So yes, feel free to join using the link in the info box. We'll do a few shout outs to those of you who have joined us already in the live chat room. So Chess, good to have you here first as usual. Peanuts Clark says, hey Nathan, good to have you here, Peanuts. Nick Al says good afternoon all. JJ, same. All the free people says cool shirt. Nathan, it's technically a jumper. Ruminati, hello. Jonathan Roberts, good to have you here, my friend. Angel Raven 444. Most flat earthers are still sleeping. Is that so? Globe Thrusters, good to see you also. I think that's pretty much it. So I will periodically come back and shout out anybody who is in the chat while we are waiting for any guests to join. Once they do, I don't tend to shout people out in the chat live, as in over the airwaves. I actually just do it in the chat room once we do have a debate going. So if anybody joins once there is a few guests, I apologise for not shouting you out personally. Lottie says, good to have you here. Thanks very much for being here. One of you in the chat could actually jump onto the show just to check that it works okay, I'd be very grateful. I've double and triple checked it on this show because it didn't work the last two when I posted the link in the info box, and then I had to go back and put it in again. So if one of you did just want to click on that link and just check it works and just let me know from the chat or say hello once you've connected, I'd be very, very grateful. I heard a little noise from Squiggly, so if you have just come in to test, thank you very much, Squiggly.
Hello.
That's good enough for me. Hello, how are you doing? That's good enough for me. Thank you very much. Much obliged. Curved Water, good to have you here. All the free people says I'll get a camera and mic in the next few days or so. So that's fighting talk, that is. Illuminati shouting out Squiggly. Yeah, much obliged. It really warms my heart when people just, you know, jump on and test it for me. Gone are the days of me sitting here for half an hour and hoping somebody would actually come to the chat room, let alone join the show. So I've got a good subscriber base. I am very humbled, I won't lie. Joined by Lewis. How you doing, Lewis?
Good afternoon. I'm doing all right.
Put you up now. I've actually got somebody in the chat room.
How are things for you?
Yeah, fine and dandy. I went to a christening today. Twins.
Nice.
It was nice.
And where at it? I'm sorry.
Kidderminster. Not that you'd probably know that being an American.
Yeah, I wouldn't really know that, but hey, I might. So, blah blah.
Yeah,
so I guess I'll just spout my spiel here. The Earth is a ball. Case closed. Yeah, all right.
That was a long spiel.
Yeah.
Just trying to trigger people in the audience into debating you. I know what you're doing.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, what kind of show would it be?
I had to do it the other day. I think we had about, I don't know if you were part of that show, but we had about 4, maybe even 5 globe heads, and there was no flat earthers, and it was just me. And it's like, you know, I'm supposed to be keeping an eye on the show, but I had to, you know, put some flat earth points forward just to keep the show going. Otherwise, it would have literally just been 5 globe heads talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, we don't have that much in common other than our belief in the shape of the Earth.
What is good to see is exactly that, actually. You find that Jen Panda pointed this out to me, although it was reasonably obvious anyway. You don't get globeheads taking crap from other globeheads. If one globehead doesn't know their stuff, the other will check them on it and say, what a load of nonsense. Whereas you don't necessarily get that in Flat Earth. You know, in fact, it goes the other way sometimes, where people will assume that you will believe they're complete and utter nonsense just because you're a flat earther. And I'm a skeptical flat earther at the end of the day, so most of the stuff that comes out that's conspiratorial, I'm like, let's just research this before I even give it any consideration. And then 99 times out of 100 you go, what a load of nonsense. You know, clearly you're not very good at research. Clearly you would probably say the same thing about flat earth to me, but I'm saying in general conspiratorial terms, it seems that flat earthers don't check each other as much as at least I would hope they would.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, the way someone arrives at the conclusion that the Earth's flat is you have misunderstood. Here we go, Jonathan Roberts.
Excellent.
I'll yield and we'll think of something else.
Yo.
Good to have you, Jonathan.
What is up, my friends? This is Jonathan, but I got to party last night and it's very crazy. I come back with, I believe it's called accent shift syndrome. I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but it's not pleasant, you know. For one moment I am like this, and you know, next, all right, mate, you know, how's it going? Like, no, all right, that's just me. Right then.
We've also been joined by Tim Osman. Good to have you here.
Tim's here.
We may not get any conversation out of him because he had PC problems. Oh, yeah, we go. Brilliant, brilliant.
We're calling Indian scammers.
Thank
you for calling online technical support. This is Sam Hoffman. How can I help you today?
Hey, I've got a problem.
Oh.
Sorry, hello. I have a problem with my computer. Can you help me out?
What?
Hello, sir. Hello? Sir? Okay, well, that call didn't really connect or something.
Nope. What's that, Indian scammers, is it?
Yeah.
I'm hoping
so
that when that happens, we'll, you know, kind of have a universal understanding that we all kind of, one person will take the lead, and you know, in other words, we'll play along nicely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, agreed.
I'll say no more.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Hello, sir. I have a problem with my computer. Is this tech support?
Not a valid extension. Please try again.
Hello?
I have a blue screen on my computer. I can't get it to go away.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, I have a blue screen on my computer. I can't get it to go away. Can you help me?
Yes. How can I help you?
Yeah, I've got a blue screen on my computer.
How can I help you, sir?
I need your help. I have a blue screen on my computer and I can't get it to go away. I have a hello, sir? What? I'm calling tech support and he's not. All right, Tim.
We may be rejoined. It's a long old game trying to hook a scammer. Do either of you guys watch Hoax Hotel?
Yeah, I know Hoax Hotel.
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Get an edited version
got a
of
lot
what
of
Tim's
very
doing,
fun
and it's
videos.
clear that he probably spent hours, if not days, trying to hook some of these scammers, and it's not an easy process. You can't just get them on the hook, you know, for a jape. It's not easy, so it's nice that we're playing along.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I kind of like to ask them why they hate America and then say that they should go kill themselves. It's a pretty hard stance.
So I got a question. What the F does this have to do with flat Earth? Says Tommy F. Good to have you by the way, Tommy. What does it have to do with Tommy? Well, Tim Osman, who is a plurific flat Earth troll, or at least in his past was a plurific. Is that the right word? Plurific? Have I said that right? Either way, a flat Earth troll, and has typically trolled specific individuals, including Patricia Steer. His current shtick is to go scamming Indian scammers who are trying to scam Americans, or wherever, Canadians. And what he's doing is he's calling them up and saying, there's something wrong with my potato box, which is obviously a play on the flat Earth and other hot potatoes. And he'll say that he's contracted the flat Earth Trojan horse meme on his computer, and can the scammer help him sort it out? So that's the jape. So, you know, were it to play out, hopefully that's what we would hear. But I think when he joins these, he tends to just get them on the hook and hope that the people on the panel will actually play along, because it's more fun that way. I haven't to date. He's done it a couple of times on these streams. But what's it got to do with flat Earth? Well, it's somebody who's anti-flat Earth making a mockery of it and trying to do it live on air. And I'm more than happy for him to do that. That's his shtick in flat Earth. There you go. Hope that's a good enough answer for you, Tommy. Good to have you here. Everybody else, I'll say hello in the chat for now. I've got to shut up. I've got verbal diarrhea, so I'll leave you two to talk. I promise.
All right. I'm going to go to work real soon, so be quick.
What do you do, Louis?
I deliver food to people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So, what we can do talk about then to satisfy all the people in the chat then, because evidently people are a bit narked that we're not talking flat Earth.
Yeah, I think the Earth's a ball, and I think that this should set a fire in people's belly. This next part, I think it comes down to the Earth just has a lot of stupid people on it. And this is what you get when you don't pay attention in school and you didn't care. And then you grow up and you realize that, oh, shit, I need to know a bunch of stuff that I don't know. I can't do anything. I'm powerless in my life. And rather than accepting responsibility for the situation, they want to blame literally everything else. And, you know, let's see where you go from there.
So, so it couldn't be like that you've been at school for all this length of time and just really have been indoctrinated further than
indoctrinated to
which is well, you know, you studied more in depth the things that I may not have studied in depth.
This is like 4th, 5th grade. With stuff that yeah.
Right, okay,
like
yeah.
The
all right.
laws of motion. Misunderstanding basic laws of motion is how you arrive at the conclusion that gravity is equivalent to buoyancy and density. That's a gargantuan misunderstanding.
If you say so. Do you know
Right,
what?
from my point of view,
to be quite honest, I can't be asked to talk with you lot anymore because it's just going round in circles, and I'm not backing out because, you know, I disagree with you or anything. That's why I said I may not have studied the things, but I just, you know, I can't see anything positive about this. It's just, you know, I'm wasting my time talking to somebody who really, quite frankly, you know, that's an insult direct at me, Louis. You know?
Well, to be fair, and you don't have to leave because I'll be leaving in about 2 minutes to go to work, so you'll have free reign. But to me, flat Earth itself and the fact that people think that the Earth's flat is an insult to me and themselves, to be just as frank. So that is why I respond. That's why I bothered to come here at all, is because
So you
there's such a
feel it's
disparity in the point of view.
so you feel it's an absolute need for you to come on here because you are here every day, and you know, you have said to me before that you just, you know, a bit like what you said earlier, but you've said to me before that you know, you come here to try and help others understand what you know, you think that we don't understand.
Yeah, that would require talking about pretty simple basic topics like the laws of motion. And I've done that before and it doesn't go anywhere. And like you said, it just goes round in circles where I call people stupid and then they call me stupid. So it really doesn't go very far in my experience.
Well, there's a lot of people on this and a lot of people that disagree with you. And I can't see why, if you didn't think that you were getting anywhere, because, you know, people who are flat earthers and who come on this channel certainly
Well, for the
don't
same
think that,
reason, the same reason that a lot of flat earthers do. They are claim to be proponents of the truth. So do I. It's that simple. I think I'm right and you think you're right.
hold on. No, we both know. Let's not joke around here. That, you know, flat earthers are the minority. Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's worldwide. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're so, you know, stable in your belief that we live in the heliocentric model, and you know, Earth is not flat, then why waste your time? Surely, haven't you got better things to do?
I think,
well, that's exactly the thing.
You're both coming from the same perspective. I think he's answered that already, Jonathan. You both find it an insult to each other.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
And I mean, the same question could be posed to you. If you are so secure in your belief, regardless of the minority issue, why would you be here? And it's because I have too much time on my hands, and hopefully in the near future, I will have far less free time on my hands, and you'll see far less of me.
Actually, yeah, I've got too much time on my hands as well. Yeah. So,
but I hope you have a good show.
You know, yeah, okay. Enjoy your day or night at work, whatever time zone you're in.
Toodaloo.
Yeah, toodaloo.
Massive thanks to Lewis for being on. Much obliged. He's not on every day, by the way, just so you know.
No, not every day. No, that's Anyway, I'm gonna go as well. I've just had a notification of another video that no offense, Nathan, but I really want to go and watch the rest of something that I saw with Iru Landushi do. So yeah. All respect, mate.
It's been a pleasure, Jonathan, as always. Thank you for being here.
All right, mate. You're welcome. Goodbye. See you later. I might pop back later on.
Hopefully so.
If you're still about. All right. Bye-bye.
That gives me an opportunity to do a quick plug. So if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click on mute on your watch page, the page that you are currently looking at, before you click on that link to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth live. There are only a couple of rules. Number 1, please do not swear. Number 2, please do not try to rejoin the show if you are ejected. We've just been joined by Curved Water, so I'll say a big hello to Curved. Thank you for being here.
Hello. I tried to get in and before Jonathan left. Did he happen to leave the name of the video that he said he would drop off here or bring back next time he joined, about bringing boats back over the horizon by Zoom?
Somebody mentioned this to me in a comment, and I said they didn't say specifically boats. They said something, and I'm pretty sure someone gave me a sun. I can't remember what I played for somebody, but I vaguely remember playing a sun being brought back in over the horizon yesterday on part B of the show. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I do remember. Yeah, he provided that for the sun. Of course, that was glare, but that's not an argument for now. But he also is supposed to specifically. He's 3 times now, Jonathan. So if you hear it, you wrote it down. You were going to remember it, and all that to bring the name of the video that you will stand behind as evidence that boats can be brought back from over the horizon by zooming in. That's all. I thought maybe he might have dropped that off, but guess not.
It may be the case that you just asking him to do exactly that might trigger someone else to do the same and try and offer their version of that type of evidence. We shall see.
That would be cool too. But of course, Jonathan keeps making the claim and never can come through with the evidence. He tried once, and of course that was a sorry excuse for evidence. The boat was never beyond the horizon. But like I said, I'm not trying to argue with you about it. So we'll just wait.
I don't mind. There's no one else here. If you want to debate the issue with me, I don't mind.
So, do you remember the video that he presented as evidence that it's being brought back from beyond the horizon when it's just too small to see?
Yeah, I can't really argue the toss for that though. It's the sun.
Oh, you talking Marilyn Teet's video yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily present that evidence as being. I would have the same trouble that I would have when debating with a globe earther about, well, I don't know what the sun is. Now we can argue the toss all day about that particular point. That's not my point. My point is if I was to go out and find a piece of footage, I would find a standard piece of boat over the horizon footage, and then when it came to the, let me get this right, when I think it's Grimm's argument when he says, well, it's only 1 pixel when you've zoomed all the way out, and I would probably agree with that point and say yes. But based on the measurements that we're given for boats going over the horizon, that wouldn't necessitate any zoom at the point that they're going over the horizon. So you'd watch it without equipment. So this was how it was phrased by some of the older people in Flat Earth. In other words, you watch the boat go over your horizon, and then you pick up your camera phone, zoom in and see it come back, and then it goes over the horizon again. It goes out of your focal length, and then you pick up your binoculars, and what do you know, it comes back again. And then when it goes out of range with your binoculars, you pick up your telescope, and then you see it come back again. Whereas when you just focus on one single, zoom camera piece of footage going in and out, you can easily debunk that with Grimm's argument and say, well, it's less than 1 pixel. Well, yeah, I can't disagree with that, but that's not necessarily the case when it's supposed to go over the horizon by eye length, at the beach. There you go. Hope I've given you enough meat on the bones there.
No, I mean, I've heard that before about, looking at it and then, maybe binoculars and then telescope. But I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody present that.
I've got to be honest, I've not done it either. So it's a difficult one for me to argue. I'm just trying to keep the conversation going while somebody else hopefully joins. But yeah, I've not done that. As much as I can say, I've gone back through, mainly my brother-in-law's actually, because he's the photographer, not me, and looked at some photographs from the beach, because they live in Dorset, actually on the beach, and most of their photographs are taken from there. And there's various different landmarks and islands that are out on their coastline that you can know the exact distances for. And I've gone back, this is 2 years ago, I'm not going to even attempt to give you measurements because I'd be wrong. But when I first got into this, that's exactly what I did. I went back and looked at, well, this should be behind the horizon, that should be behind the horizon. It's not, it's in this photograph. And that confirmed it for me. But what I didn't do, which is, I'm more than happy to be called out on it, is exactly what I've just described, and gone and watched a boat go over the horizon and picked up a better piece of telescopic equipment to bring it back. I've not done that and had a line of them on a table with ever increasing magnifications. I've not done that. I'd love to see someone actually do it, with various different tools that are getting ever and ever stronger.
Yeah, what I would love to be able to see is a boat that is partially obscured. You can resolve the boat, the portion of it that's visible, and you know, when you zoom in on it, the boat does not just become bigger. You see more of it. You see the bottom that was obscured, obstructed, whatever, by the horizon. But as he zoomed in, not did only the boat, the visible portion become bigger, but the obstruction goes away, and you can zoom in and see actually more of the boat down to the bottom. And that has never been demonstrated. All that we've ever seen is boats that, if you zoom in on them, just what portion of it is visible, of course, becomes bigger due to the zoom. Still waiting, I guess. I don't know. For all the talk that there is that this can be done, I don't know why it's so difficult. It comes down to arguing technicalities, like with Issa, with his footage, where he's claiming this little dinghy out there, a tiny little sailboat, was over the horizon when it was just simply too small to be seen. At least that's what we say, and there's no evidence in it. That I can say confidently. There's no evidence in his video that it was over the horizon. And there are countless videos like that where they're trying to display this, but I've never seen one succeed.
Got Issa in the chat going, what? Just as I was about to say, well, I don't own a P900. And again, I'll repeat what I said earlier. I'm not a photographer. I don't own any photography equipment. I can only go back and reference other people's stuff. So, I'd love Issa to come on and challenge you on it, but we shall see. As it stands, you're completely unchallenged.
I mean, we could talk about it if he wants to. We've been through it before. Surely it's not going to go anywhere. He knows. He thinks it shows something, and we think it shows something else. And I've never been able to get him to give any good evidence of how he has determined the distance of the boat, or that it's actually over the horizon. But if he wants to come in, that's certainly up to him. Not a big deal.
Yep, if you'd like to join the show, click on the link in the info box. So I don't have to keep saying it, I'm going to copy and paste pretty much exactly what I say at the beginning of the show and just paste it periodically into the chat to encourage people to join. Please like and share the show. If you would like to support the show, hit that super chat. If you would like to join the show with watch page muted, click on the link in the info box below this video. Hey Sticky, good to see you. Everyone can relax, Curved is here. Oh, there we go, I can shut up finally. Hey Issa, good to have you here.
What up, brother? How you doing, Curved? Hello? No, he's muted there. What up, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm here. I had trouble getting him on.
Cool. Yeah, man. So we got to pull out the footage again, or what?
Sure, why not? We got nothing else going on.
All right, cool. I'm gonna have to log in on my computer.
All right.
And I can present. Let me see what's going on. Hold on one sec.
Ooh, unless I've got another idea. If we don't want to go over the same old footage again, maybe we can go over your shots of the that you've taken of the moon, like near the horizon and up high in the sky and all, and compare it.
Oh, which one was it?
You did that, didn't you? You said you were going to. I assumed you did it.
Well, which one now? Are you the one where you're talking about the angular diameter? You talking about?
Yeah, for the size of the moon.
No. Right. I have yet to do that, but also, I mean, I'm willing to concede that there may be a change in angular diameter due to, like, let's say, I mean, it's even like it's well accepted that there's the refraction issue at 15 degrees, like above the horizon. So when the moon is coming up and it looks big, because we've talked about that, how that there's that effect that happens. And it's actually something worth noting. Something I've kind of been considering even in this conversation is it's something that flat earthers should be willing to do is concede certain points that make scientific sense. And I understand that's why a lot of you guys are out here is it gets so frustrating when you're talking to people like that are just making up. Like I see it in the law aspect too, because I hold a, I guess, alternative perspective, but it doesn't mean that I stand in the ranks of those who think that saying overstand is going to help you versus saying understand. You know what I mean? Like it's this, there's a plethora of nonsense along with this. And I think we should know how to concede certain points, like the angular diameter of the moon. If it does change, well, maybe it's due to atmospheric conditions. Or if it, because I mean, the flat earthers will try to say that it gets smaller going off into the horizon. But when it rises, it stands. It's bigger. It's just a phenomenon, and I think the more we accept that, the better off all of us will be.
All right. The deal there, though, is that the angular diameter doesn't actually change. There is an illusion.
Right. And I don't know, and that's what I'm saying is that some people will try to say that it does change.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say is that I'm willing to give that. There's that there is a it's a bad attempt at trying to prove flat Earth for that sense. Like to try to make I had to, even when I was talking about, I just seen someone in the comment section mention that the horizon always comes to eye level. And I've pointed out that, let's say, if you're in a plane, you know what I mean? Like the horizon is it's not at eye level. Like we have to concede that point. And the reason and the reasoning why is to recognize that you're dealing with atmospheric conditions potentially. So let's say if the horizon did rise up to eye level, it would be blocked by the atmosphere. If you look on the Weather Channel, it tells you how far you can see. You know what I mean? So there's that kind of thing to it as well. I think a lot of people don't appreciate that. But yeah, I'll pull up this one bit of footage because I think it talks about, it kind of addresses two issues, and I don't know, we haven't addressed it in a while. Maybe we can do that. Let me join this call with my other computer. Or with my computer. Okay, cool. All right. So let's see here.
Can you drop your phone connection as well, or do you need that for your mic?
I'm just using it for the mic now. I'll just
okay,
if we've got too many people coming in, I will jump off and stay.
I just didn't want it causing feedback, but it's not anymore. Don't worry about it.
Yes, I just muted the. Okay, so I'm sharing this page here. Are you guys seeing this? I don't know if you're getting that up.
Can you make it full screen, please, Issa?
Yes, sir. Okay, so and I'll pull it back a little bit.
You want to present that?
Yeah, am I not?
Well, you're sharing, but it's not presented. I don't think.
Okay. Oh yeah, on the screen. I don't know. Maybe Nathan, are you screen sharing this?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I guess we're good. Maybe can you see it curved?
Curved. You just need to locally click on Issa to get it up.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, thanks.
Cool. So I mean, on this, there's a couple of issues. One issue is the idea that we're looking at a boat that, when you'll notice when I pull back, it won't be visible. And so there's two things we can discuss here. One is the idea that imagine if the top of this sailing vessel was Polaris. So where we're zoomed in right now, the altitude of Polaris would be our latitude. Okay, because that's how they decide, some people don't know, that Polaris, its altitude in the sky, whatever its altitude in the sky is by degrees, is your latitude. So as we zoom back, as opposed to it being about the curvature or of the celestial sphere or anything, we can also look at this notion that if that were if that the top of this mast was Polaris. As we pull back, we'll notice that due to our perspective, Polaris will appear, if they were, for all intents and purposes, this is Polaris, will appear to sink below the horizon. But we are looking into, we are now, let's say, whatever latitude, and as we pull back, that latitude is now dropping, and now we would be technically at the equator now. So now you're at the equator. So this would be even with the horizon. And so now as we pull back even further, we would be going below the equator. And now you can see that you cannot make out any of those boats that we've been looking at. And some people say it's due to the camera angle in this, but this is just an example of how the flat Earth sees distance. And so as we zoom back in, all of a sudden now we're at the latitude where we can see the top of the mast. But granted, it's going to be obfuscated by this first boat coming in front of it. But we see this, the top of the mast begin to take up more of the screenshot. And I think that in much the same way is how we as flat earthers look at Polaris due to perspective. What do you think about that, brother?
Well, I think you can look at it that way if you like, but it doesn't match up mathematically what you're proposing there.
Well,
that's the issue.
Well, mathematically, in what sense? I mean, latitude?
Yeah, it doesn't. The altitude of Polaris does not match latitude as if you try to apply it to a flat plane. I've got a graphic here that will illustrate. I'm getting ready to share. Oh, it's okay if I don't delete the link before I share, right? But yeah, it's posted public, so okay, I won't worry about that hassle. Here is the graphic. I'm going to try to expand it and make it as large as I can. Are you able to see?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Showing?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So obviously, somebody at the North Pole, it's directly up overhead. It's straight. It's going to be in line with basically a plumb bob. It's vertical.
That would be like being on our boat.
Well, this would be like being directly underneath it.
Right, underneath
where
the
it's
mast.
up over your head. Yeah, you got to lean back and lose your balance to look straight up at it and get all disoriented and stuff. But you take somebody down here at 60 degrees latitude, the 60-degree angle from this distance away from the North Pole is going to be looking along this line of sight here. And it's going to there. Now you get somebody down here to 30 degrees. They're going to be looking off in this direction. Somebody at the equator is going to be looking parallel to the ground in front of them and being able to see basically Polaris on the horizon.
Right, and that's what I just gave an example of.
No, but actually you didn't. And what it comes down to is that, what you were saying didn't have a correlation to reality. There were no hard numbers attached to what you were describing there. Yeah. Now, on a flat Earth, as you move away from the North Pole, away from being directly underneath Polaris, yeah, of course, it's going to lower in the sky. The difference is in how much.
Right. Sorry to interrupt. We've been joined by Chris. Pleased to have you here, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Can you say a quick hello just so I can level you up a bit?
I might have some background noise. Can you guys hear me clearly?
I've turned you right up. Let's just try that again, Chris.
Do I have a lot of background noise? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. That's great.
All right, good. I'll mute, if it gets loud or something.
Okay, so Isa, this is something, I haven't looked at this in a while, so I want to make sure that I'm not saying something wrong here, that I'm not looking at the wrong graphic or misexplaining it, but I know it's probably hard to read the text on here, but this is assuming using 3,100 miles above a plane. The angles here in red are what, maybe I should read it.
Do you want me to read it?
Are they the
I'll just read it,
lines?
Issa. Illustration showing the degrees of latitude from which Polaris would be observed at different altitudes if it was positioned above the flat Earth at a distance of 3,100 miles. Notice at altitude agrees with the latitude in only two places, at the North Pole and at latitude north 45 degrees.
Right, but that's the presumption that the sun is at 3,200. Now,
No, this is Polaris.
Well, or forgive me, Polaris. Forgive me.
Well, okay, but here's the reason for that, alleged assumption. That's just using the observation point from 45 degrees. From 45 degrees latitude, Polaris is 45 degrees above the horizon. But on a flat Earth, nowhere else would that match up.
Well, no, but then I'd have to ask you. Then, how if that were the case, would because I know it's another topic, but it's because your argument is that it's due to the sphericity of the Earth and the celestial sphere, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So my thing is that what I'm saying is that there is an alternate way to look at this in the sense that I granted I understand why you might think that, but it's that doesn't work in the sense that how come from 25 degrees north can we still see the southern crux? There's just these now granted that's a whole nother bag of fucking
but it's a simple one. It's the simple one. It's not a problem.
Well, are you sure? Because it's at the granted, the southern crux is not at 90 degrees, it's at 60. But the point is that due to and I've had Grimm try to fucking explain it to me 1,000 times, but it still does not make sense to me that from 25 degrees, actually 30 degrees north latitude, you would even be able to see, over the equatorial bulge at the 60-degree mark.
Okay. I have a graphic that will help
the example, or real quick, the example I expressed regarding Polaris is this is just an alternative example of perspective. This diagram you're showing now, it has a presumption of the height and altitude of Polaris on a flat Earth, map, right? It's like you're dealing with a presumption on that one.
We've got a different diagram now, Issa. Can we just get an explanation of this from Curved? Sorry, Issa.
Sure.
Yeah, go on, brother.
Well, what this shows why the altitude of Polaris matches your latitude in the northern hemisphere due to the shape of the globe. An observer here at 10 degrees north latitude, imagine this line right here is a huge spirit level. This is the tangent to the point at which you're observing from. This would be your horizontal line of sight if it were extended, but your view to Polaris is straight up this way, 10 degrees above that level. Okay. Now, no matter what.
But your first diagram explained it perfectly. On a flat level plane, it's exactly this is the idea.
The numbers don't correlate. The numbers don't correlate from a flat plane. They get all wonky. They don't match.
Can we go back to the flat diagram for a second?
We can, but while I'm on this, can I use this to explain to Issa why you
I understand.
That doesn't show you how much the person can see, though, from their perspective. We see.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
We can't tell what that guy can see from his tangent line on this diagram. We can't tell how far down around the ball he can see. That's all.
How far around the ball he can see?
Yeah, because it's an isometric projection, and he's not looking in isometric, right? He's looking in perspective projection.
Just while there's a gap, we've been joined by Alex. Just want to say a quick hello. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Nathan. Hi, Curved. Hi, Issa. Hi, Chris.
What's up, Alex?
Is that Cat?
Yeah.
Is that Cat Earth? My man Cat Earth over there?
It's
Yo,
Cat Earth.
I swear, dude, are you, hey, yo, you know what? Are you on the fucking radio? Because I think you're somebody special.
No swearing. Try not to swear.
Oh, sorry. Did I?
Forgive me. All right, forgive me. I'm done.
Nah, not radio. Nah. I don't like TV or any of that.
You can.
I'm with you. I'm with the flat earthers on that. I don't watch any TV or any of that nonsense.
Oh,
Are
pick
you
and
sure?
choose, huh? Pick and choose.
Are you sure you're not DJ Vape?
DJ Vape?
DJ
what?
Vape?
No. I'll do you a good deal on a vape though, Curved.
You're a professional.
Yeah. I'm a professional agent, as Tom calls me, Tom.
Well, anyway.
Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've lost track. I'm really sorry, Curved. I've completely lost track of the question that Chris actually put forward now. Is there any chance you could repeat it, Chris?
Well, I'm not dealing with Chris's question at the
sorry.
moment. What I'm trying to do is just give a visual demonstration here, and that's an answer to Issa's question about this seeing over the equatorial bulge stuff. Now, when you basically have a view for somebody here at the equator, 0 degrees latitude, your horizontal line of sight is basically up here, and you will be able to see just however far the angular resolution will allow you to see, and other factors into the distance. Now, if you can see something like here, Polaris, 90 degrees straight up ahead, but you can see that from the equator due to the Earth's width. The diameter of the Earth here is not that great, to where somebody here, what we show as a horizontal line here, still takes you up to Polaris. Even though in the diagram it looks like it's a big deal that it's over here, but it's not. It's not a problem. Polaris is large, off in space. You can see things that are 90 degrees around the sphere once you get to a sufficient distance from the Earth.
Right, because it's effectively far enough away.
Stars, sun, moon, all these things are far enough away from the Earth.
Around. They're all parallel lines. We get it.
So basically what you have to have is for your position on the globe to be within 90 degrees, without accounting for refraction, within 90 degrees of crux. The bulge is not an issue. The bulge is very slight. That's just a non-factor. The equatorial bulge. It should not be in the conversation because it doesn't really have any effect. What you're concerned with is being, 90 degrees or less from the position of Polaris on our crux in the sky.
It curved. Where can you mark the 25 degrees north?
Yeah, sure. I am on my mouse, or that plus thing.
On your mouse. On your mouse.
Yeah, it's right here. Can you see it moving?
Okay, so right there. Okay, so you see now. Okay, I don't know if you can put some kind of marker there so we have an idea. But now go over to the 60-degree mark south.
60 degrees south?
Yes. Right in there, right?
Yeah, 120, 60 on this side.
Okay, so like my question, I guess this becomes a thing is that, how is it from, let's say, the 25-degree mark? I know you're going to say due to distance, because the stars would be like, the southern crux is roughly at 60 degrees south. So if that is farther backed out,
hold on, I've missed your question because you've presupposed his answer, and I didn't get the question.
Okay, well, my thing is that how can I see the southern crux from 25 degrees north?
Because it's more than 25 degrees off of the southern pole, giving you less than
and
90
you're saying
degrees.
that due to the distance of it is right now, but how from that 25-degree mark would the equatorial bulge not get in my way? And I guess your answer is going to be due to distance.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it odd though that if there is this equatorial.
This is what we see all the time. People can simultaneously view Polaris from this side of my finger's not going to do it, from this side of the globe, like around the equator, to this side of the globe around the equator. All the way around the equator, anywhere where it's dark enough to see, people are going to see Polaris.
Well, you'd have to be above the equator, right?
We know this. Now, right around
you have
the
to
equator.
be above. Well, isn't there? You know what? Actually, Curve, maybe you can answer. Are there not reports of like 1 degree south seeing Polaris?
Possibly. There, you can get refraction that will allow
I've
you
heard,
to see.
right? But granted, I've only ever seen this on Eric Dubé's site, that there's been sightings of Polaris from even as far down as like 20 degrees south.
Well, that's absolutely false.
He claimed it, but I've never seen it.
You can think that through yourself, and you should be able to convince yourself that that is an absolute lie, based upon the logic.
Well, no, I haven't done the experiment myself, but but the only location I've ever seen it is on Dubé's site.
All right. Well, look at Dubé's reasoning. Why does Polaris appear near the around the horizon from the equator, when mathematically it should be well, if it's 3,100 miles up or so, that 45-degree observations, which is a cherry pick, of course, that's the point. But 45 degrees, using that distance around 3,100 miles, Polaris should still be about 26.5 degrees above the horizon. But is that
when you say 3,100 miles, is that the estimated altitude of Polaris in that diagram?
Yeah, in the diagram, using that figure.
But that presupposition is huge, though.
Well, there's a big problem with it. There is no one distance you can assign to the height of Polaris above a flat Earth that'll match all observations. The angles don't work.
But hold on. But 25 trillion light years is good enough for you?
I don't give a rat's ass about that. I really don't. What if it turned out to be 1 million miles away? I don't really care that much about that. Not for this argument. That's a whole nother can of worms. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to go off and argue light years and distances and fear of big numbers and things like that when we're trying to talk about the shape of the Earth.
Right, but you're bringing up a presumption of 3,100 as the altitude of Polaris, and then you're saying
no. I'm just saying, using that as the example, it doesn't work. There's no number.
Right, but how about this though? But your other example, your first diagram with the level plane, and then the guys looking at the altitudes, like that to me is what I was trying to depict before, and that's just an alternative concept to the idea that it would be due to sphericity. And this is where it's like it's the same set of facts. Like I think far too long people have negated what gentlemen like yourself have said out here, and not really in truth accepted the idea. And even I've kind of learned to even I really want to embrace all the ideas, even the globe model, but because we can't verify these things, and because we really should be practicing the scientific method, which teaches us to not trust, but to learn everything. Okay. And I think that's really what this conversation should and really will ultimately culminate into. Like the best of it is that it's like, too often people have said, oh no, the moon stays the same, or, gets smaller and it's bigger, and you guys are like, no, it's due to these atmospheric conditions, and everyone's like, bullshit. And it's like, that's frustrating. But I don't think that explains the.
That's easily measured.
I think we have a couple options though when we look at the set of facts. It's an interpretation. I see it as a level plane, but I understand where it comes from.
How do you interpret the diagram that's on the screen right now?
Right. So that's like, what I was trying to point out in my video is the idea that the top of the mast, like, let's say at that 60-degree mark is when I'm zoomed in. And then as I'm zooming away, it's at the 30-degree mark and then the equator.
All right, so you disagree that all of these lines of sight should point to the same place in the sky?
What's that? Wait, no, I agree with the lines of sight in this diagram here.
Okay, and what these lines of sight show is that you're looking at wildly different directions and points in the sky, locations, for each of these.
Well, no, but that's
people
only
looking at
Polaris.
They're looking in all different directions.
Look at it like this. Look at this. The guy, how about this? The guy at 90 degrees, he's looking straight up. That's the arrow. So wherever the line of sight intersects with that line going up would just be the actual apparent position of Polaris for that individual on that line.
Why?
Due to perspective. That's it.
What about perspective dictates that?
What do you mean? Like if you're down, like how about this? Like have you ever seen a friend that's like, on a hill far away? It's like, are they really 2 inches tall?
That's not the issue here.
Well, no, it is though. Because how isn't it if we're talking about perspective? Do you understand?
We're talking about lines of sight.
If you were standing, hold on, check it out. If you have a friend that's standing right next to you and you're on the ground and your head is at their feet and you look up, they're going to look huge. Now, if you stand away from you, they're going to look like just tall. And my thing is that, like, same thing with Polaris.
No, but that doesn't make sense.
If I'm on a football field and I'm looking at, my head is at the foot of someone, a beautiful girl, and the top of her head, she looks like she's an Amazonian fucking whatever. Now I stand up and she walks away from me. She's going to change in apparent size. It doesn't mean she's not, 6
Issa, this is not about apparent size. This is about location.
Well, of course. Well, I'll tell you what. The thing is, maybe I think this is the thing where I don't know why you can't understand what I'm proposing.
Because what you're proposing isn't consistent. It doesn't make sense. And it has nothing to do with perspective.
Well, how do you mean? I have an footage right here. I have a hypothesis and I have an example of it.
No, you don't.
Your diagram speaks to the point. And if you can't understand what the diagram in my video is pointing to, then that speaks to another point more about
Issa.
You. What's up?
Pardon me. There's a part missing to that diagram that we're not talking about here. If we can go back to it. And that it's not taking into account the fluid of the air. So those lines should be bending, because that diagram just shows an empty space with no air. That's what those lines would do in a vacuum. We're not in a
right, but that's too technical for the diagram's purpose.
Well, that's why it's wrong, though. You see, that's why it doesn't make any sense to curved, because it's not taking into account the fluid dynamics of the air, which is essentially a fluid. Even though it's very thin, right? We have to look through miles and miles of it before it behaves like water.
But is the air acting like a fluid when we see like birds in the sky and planes in the sky?
It's always acting like a fluid, but
it's not
you're
really
close enough, clear enough. It doesn't matter. It's more,
but not enough to make a star shift down in location, like Issa's claiming. We're
well,
saying that
across those distances, yes.
So then they've got to be really. But you don't see birds get bigger or move in different position in the sky or planes.
Depends what liquid they're in.
Aren't big enough.
Well, we're talking about the air, aren't we? So.
Oh, you've got penguins, haven't you?
We're talking about the air.
Fair enough.
All right, so what I hear being proposed is that due to the intersection of this line of sight right here, crossing with this guy's line of sight, this intersection, this is an apparent altitude. This is how far away Polaris is to ESA because these lines cross here. Yet to this person and this person, Polaris is really only this far up above this person because this person's line of sight intersects that line here.
Well,
And
no, it's an
this
apparent
person-
position.
And this person, his line of sight, he's looking through this person to see Polaris over here somewhere. And Polaris, which is really here or from this person here, his line's going to cross up here higher. Polaris is really here,
Oh,
here,
but
and
okay,
here.
hold on. I think I don't think you understand what this diagram is saying. Is because the what it's saying is that the first guy at the equator or at 90 degrees looking up, the star will appear where the head of that arrow is, and then on the this is a matter
It's not
of like
saying that, Issa. It's not. These give directions only.
brother. You're demonstrating that you don't understand this diagram.
No, you're taking a cheap shot. There's nothing about this that says that Polaris is at the head of this arrow.
Hold on, let's do this. What's the name of the diagram?
The name of the diagram?
Yeah.
Where is Polaris on a flat Earth? This illustration shows why the altitude of Polaris cannot match an observer's latitude on a flat Earth. It's because
So it's got a presupposition then to it as well.
It's because you can't.
Okay, so where's Polaris then? So you're trying to say Polaris is the top angle, and that you're saying that due to like this is a. I don't know how to unravel your confusion about this because
I don't have any confusion
and whoever
about
made
it.
this because
The attack
point
isn't necessary, Issa. I don't have any confusion about this.
It may be because you're limiting yourself to this other perspective. I understand what you're attempting to say, and I understand why you're saying that you think that the guy at 30 degrees, well, he's not going to see it at that altitude because he's going to look underneath it, which sounds retarded, and it doesn't do the diagram any justice. Because the point is that wherever those, to me, the way I see it, like I've shown in this video, wherever those lines intersect with that first line going up, the lines of perspective intersect. That's merely the subjective perspective of where Polaris would be on that
It's the objective, isn't it? It's actually where you'd see it if you're measuring it on the Earth, right?
Right, exactly. And that's what will create the 30-degree angle and the 30-degree latitude.
Yeah.
Like, you can't deny that.
Okay. No, well, this does not work. That diagram right there does not work. It has no correlation to reality. This one does. This one, now that's the sun, so I need to go up. It's up higher. This one does correlate to reality. This is what we see from the Earth. All these lines of sight represent lines of sight to Polaris. Every line from every latitude, from equator, North Pole, back to equator, all the way around the world, all these lines of sight are straight parallel lines to Polaris. That's what we experience. That's what we see. We do not see.
I'm gonna give an example again I'm just gonna show this one more time. Is the example of what I'm referring to and what that diagram was speaking to me, right? See, because here the thing is that let's see, let me get in there. Here, like this would be your 30-degree. At the top of the mast would be like Polaris, right? And it's at a certain altitude. Now, it's going to appear to lower as we go away from it, and that would be like going back on those latitudes. And this would be the line of perspective. Like the actual altitude is the same, but the thing is that due to the perspective of being farther away from it, it will appear to lower, like on that diagram you were showing, where now it's lowered and it's getting closer to the horizon. It's getting closer to the horizon, closer to the horizon.
Perspective. That's the size. That's the apparent size.
And this would be, now Polaris would be here, just above the horizon.
No, but
And the
dude,
thing
you're
is that,
presupposing that this footage is showing you the Earth flat, not a curve. So you can't
well,
really use
water
this
finds
as
it.
evidence of
Well, you'd have
perspective.
to give me right. Well, so the thing is that so is the okay. So on that note, are these boats over the curve of the Earth?
Yeah, that's what I would say. Do you see what I mean? So you
So
can't really use
you
that
would
as
say like right now. Okay, so hold on. So you're saying that the boats, because I can't see them here, they're over the curvature of the Earth.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, I'm not
Okay, but
sure.
that's
You
what.
have to show me the whole footage and zoom right in. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm just saying, like right
yeah,
now,
zoom
I
in
can't
first.
see. Right, but you can't see any boats on this horizon.
Well,
So
that's
you
the
think
resolution of your camera, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
right, and but I'm saying, so, but you just said that you think that might be means that it's over.
well, it might be if you zoom in. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Right. Well, my point is that same thing, and this is just the optic example of what curved was showing, is the idea that at the height of this mast would be the apparent position of Polaris, and that
Okay.
due to perspective and seeing as like at least you'd have to give me for like I don't know how far actually I'm shooting on these, probably about 5 or 6 miles out, if not more, and like and so the height of me going out, let's just say that you're not going to experience the curvature, if you will, within 5 miles, right? Because it's 69 miles for 1 degree of arc, right? So the thing is that let's just say, for all intents and purposes, it's considered fucking level. So like we're looking at the top of Polaris, and as we go away from it, it will go closer to the horizon due to perspective, like the diagram we were looking at.
Issa,
That's just a practical example of what we're talking about.
no,
Yeah, but
because
is
we're not
that actually
zooming in
lowering?
on
It's not lowering.
Polaris. We're not zooming in by moving north and south on the Earth. We're not zooming into Polaris, changing its apparent size within the frame.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even changing size, is it? When we look at
It's
Well,
an
it changes
example. Yeah,
apparent
no, it's not
size.
changing size. Like
Like
Polaris
Polaris.
maybe wouldn't be changing location. Like it wouldn't be
No,
changing location. It's just due to your
nothing
perspective.
is
But that's what that
changing
diagram shows,
location.
it changing location.
But nothing is changing location unless you change
Well, no,
the
granted,
orientation of the
I
camera.
understand full well that you guys do not understand how to read diagrams.
No, dude,
Never mind.
what I think you're missing is that if that diagram he's
No,
showing you
it's
as a
just it's
flat was
clear you don't know how to read
curved,
diagrams.
but I mean, if that diagram showed the curve, if it wasn't a flat, a flat diagram, if it was curved, then all those arrows would be pointing in the same direction. But when you take those measurements and you assume the Earth's flat, then you're seeing Polaris in a different location, and you're trying to argue that perspective can make something drastically shift its location. Whereas
Yeah, and
really what you're showing there, even if the Earth is flat, you're making an argument that things on a horizon are squishing. It's not even the same thing, really, is it?
Well, I mean, if you're a limited and unimaginative person, I could understand how it would be hard to understand.
I'm not being
Thing
unimaginative. I'm
Imagination?
trying to understand what you're saying.
thing is, though, is that if you were to maybe just look at this through another lens without a presupposition, then you might be able to see what I'm talking about and understand your own diagrams. Because at the moment, intellectually, you look like fools.
No, well,
Yeah.
Issa, I didn't presuppose anything. You presuppose this when you said that this shows us anything about perspective, and you're presupposing it's on a flat Earth, whereas it could be going over curve. We could be talking about angular, the resolution.
Yo.
Sorry.
Let's not presuppose for a minute and see what happens when we look at the data.
Yeah, but that's
and
what we're doing
what
here.
type of results we might
We
get
did.
when we solve the
We did.
systems of equations, right, that we have.
Issa has to
And it turns out
presuppose
we
that
have
he
multiple
knows
solutions.
the intent of the diagram better than we do.
Obviously,
Because
I do.
It's it's not the clear meaning. It's not what's being presented. It's what Issa interprets it to be through his lens. That's what it really means, and we need to understand that everything really means what Issa wants it to mean. And
No,
Look, what I'm saying is there's a practical example.
Solutions to the problem.
And look, it's a practical example.
It's not.
What you were
No, that's
referring to.
not.
It is
But
not.
Really.
But you clearly
Issa,
are
it
too
simply
daft
is
to
not.
understand.
Well, no. Actually, I'd say
Okay.
Chris was closer to the answering the question because he was trying to explain why things would shift, and things in water they do drastically shift, right? We see that if you put things in water, things can move location, magnify, all these kind of things.
Exactly.
That's closer to what you should be looking at to answer this. So I'd say Chris understands it better than you, Issa, because he could understand what we're saying, that apparently on a flat Earth we're seeing Polaris shift down in location as we move away, like further south on the disk or wherever towards the equator. So I'd say he's kind of closer to it. It's not talking about that.
Well, exactly. I
Okay.
have to be because I do computer graphics engineering. Understanding how light rays work so you can render them to look good is important.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think you do understand the problem, Issa. It's like as you're moving back, we are seeing it shift in a drastically different location.
Hold on, let's say 1 second. What's the altitude? Let me just real quick, Cats. What's the altitude that you have to take in for refraction when you're measuring stars?
I have no idea. I'm just talking about this graph here.
Okay, let me tell you then. I'll tell you. Okay.
Okay, but you are changing the subject.
So if you don't know that and understand
okay,
atmospheric conditions, well, no, maybe you're out of your league because you
yeah,
don't
maybe I
understand
am, but I can understand that diagram, and I mean, I think that's a genuine problem. I think Chris tried to answer it.
My understanding, just so I can get it in here,
hey,
Alex.
Kat, thanks for your input.
Sorry, Issa. Can I just clarify, because maybe I'm misunderstanding too. My understanding was exactly what you said, which was that Flat Earthers proposed that the stars are low and close, therefore they would move. And that's also their explanation for why eventually they move out of view and you get a different set when you go past the equator. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're arguing, but you're both agreeing at the same time. Flat Earthers propose they're nice and low and close and therefore move. And you're saying that, no, they're far away and your angle changes. Well, isn't that the same thing? Just we're at cross purposes without the necessity to be so, as far as I can tell.
Right, but I just demonstrated that they're not low and close. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are retarded, dog.
Are we really? I don't think you understand the diagram.
You get put in that
I mean, if that's all
ward.
you've got to say, if that's your argument, then fair enough.
Well, no, you don't
That's your
understand the
argument,
alternative.
so.
No, how about this? Hold on, look at you like this. If two men, like if I understand an argument from both positions, and then you only understand it from one perspective, that would make me more intelligent than you.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, it would. But you'd have to understand it from both positions for that to be the case.
Right. But I understand that the alternative is nonsense and completely unsupported, and it's just you throwing it out there as like what appears to be a desperate attempt to get away from that diagram that clearly shows that Polaris is not 3,000 miles above the flat Earth. It's not any one particular altitude above a flat Earth. I don't care how close or far you want to put it, the measurements will not add up.
Well, how did we calculate that curved?
How did we calculate what?
The distance to Polaris. Let's go through that again. Just to illustrate how that number was sort of gleaned.
Which distance? The 3,100 miles or what they
The estimated
say?
distance to Polaris in the heliocentric system.
How did we calculate that? I don't know. Don't care.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
It's like you have a picture that you had on earlier of the ball and two
It's
people
meaningless
looking, right?
to this diagram.
Those illustrate the angles pretty good, do they not?
The distance to Polaris is basically meaningless.
Infinitely far away because they're both parallel lines from both sides of the Earth,
not
right?
infinitely and virtually parallel. It's
virtually parallel, which gives us virtually infinitely, right?
No, not virtually infinitely. There is a distance that Polaris is away. It's not infinite.
Which is, I would say, virtually infinite because that's such a big number.
Then you would be wrong.
You need a lot of data
You would be wrong. You have no reason to call it virtually infinite.
Well, yeah, what does virtually mean, though? Isn't it like simulated, perhaps?
It's not simulated.
Imaginary?
Infinite. There's nothing
virtually
infinite about
means
it.
simulated. That's why I use
There's
it
nothing infinite about it, so the virtual doesn't even come into it. Take infinite out of the description. That's wrong.
You said they were virtually parallel, so that means they must be virtually infinite. If you were to do that
that's
calculation,
a fallacy. That's a non sequitur. That's a fallacy.
How about let's talk math then. What about the limit approaching infinity?
No, it's nothing to do with that. It's about the deviation from parallel being very, 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 very small.
Well,
that's why I use the term virtually parallel.
In mathematics?
What?
We use a limit when we're approaching something very small. Don't we? Or is that a little too hypothetical for this discussion?
The deviation from parallel is going to be dependent upon the distance of the viewers apart from each other and
you calculate that using trigonometry, correct?
And the distance to the star.
Using trigonometry. The angles, and then that gives you the distance of the hypotenuse and yada, 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 right?
Jesus.
Right? Trigonometry.
So what?
Well, when we're talking about perspective, we don't use trigonometry, we use linear algebra. Because
we're not talking
Euclidean trigonometry doesn't really work when calculating angles in a perspective projection. We have to use linear algebra, a different system of computation. and solving systems of equations than typical Euclidean.
No, not for this. It's a simple
Well,
angle.
that's this two different solutions depending on your
It's a simple
your
angle.
foundational mathematics.
No, you asserted you have to use something else. Derping in perspective for some unknown reason.
I'm not saying the mathematics of linear algebra work better in a perspective system.
If you say so, I don't get your point.
Yeah, I know so because I use them.
But there's no reason.
Perspective matrices.
Trig is absolutely fine for this.
Yeah, but it only really works in the Baum model. They're assuming like vacuums.
Okay, I see your game. You're just a contrarian. You just want to throw out terms and try to make it appear. You're trying to appear like you have a point, and you don't. What?
He's highlighting your inability to grasp both ideas.
There is no inability to
solutions
grasp.
of this problem. They both work. It's just that one results in, I'd say, a kind of a breakdown of the math where you end up with extremely large values, which I would consider that a concept error if I got an answer like that in my calculations.
No, hold on a second. What is the breakdown in trig in calculating the angle difference and the deviation from parallel?
The limitation is that a person who sees stuff when they're looking around them on the Earth sees in linear algebra and not in trig. That's what I'm saying. So
Okay, sounds like a
using optical data, you have to put that through linear algebra.
No, you don't.
You can't go from something,
Tell me why.
read optically and then convert it to an isometric view.
Tell me why. You're just throwing terms, dude. You're throwing terms.
You don't understand what I'm talking about?
No, I said tell me why.
No idea what you're talking about.
Tell me why. You're making assertions. Tell me why they're true. What is the breakdown in trig?
Because that's the nature of existence. There's opportunity for other things. It's just you're a limited cuck sometimes.
No.
Okay, can we start the inside and just let him explain it? It'd be nice.
No, you can't help it.
Yeah, I really care.
You can't help it. He's claimed that there's a breakdown in trig and that there's linear algebra.
No, not a breakdown. I'm saying that
what's the limitation?
Fit
what's the limitation
of different systems?
What's the limitation of the trig?
You have to transform between
the
two.
Why?
I'm missing a word here.
Why?
It's like a basis.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? There's just simply two. There's simply two results to the system of equations that you have.
What's wrong with the trig?
You know about solving systems of equations, right? Curved, where you take multiple linear equations and then you multiply them together and you get either no solution, one solution, or multiple solutions. In this case, we have multiple solutions to the problem.
You can't answer.
Can you let him try? Curved, you keep talking over him.
You're trying to appear like you got a point, throwing terms, and you don't have a point.
Just let him finish. We've got plenty of time here. Just let him get his point out.
He doesn't have a point.
Curved, you're just getting exposed. Relax.
You're doing like an avoidance on me. I don't understand. I mean,
I'm not avoiding the question.
I make
you
it
are.
work.
I'm just going to say why.
It works.
What's wrong with the trig?
Explain it to us.
He can't
trig
answer.
Isn't much use in perspective projection space. We're talking about different spaces.
We're talking about measuring an angle, dude.
No, we're talking about different spaces of projection. The angles change when you transform from one space to another. If I were to measure an angle on an isometric drawing, it would be 90 degrees. And if I put a camera and prospectively looked at it, the angle would change to whatever my angle was and whatever medium was in the air I was looking through. That's how it works. Does that make sense?
I asked you what's wrong with the trig.
Sorry, I don't get it.
You can't do it.
Well, I want to put that out people would hear. I know. Ones who don't aren't.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beyond it's beyond your ability to cognitively, relate to.
You didn't understand any of that, Esau.
Explain it, Esau.
Yo, Kat.
You explain it to me then.
No. Let me explain. I'll fucking explain it to you.
Explain it to me then.
What he's talking about is your inability to see.
No.
How that listen, dude. Let me finish, or just shut up. Okay, how about that? So the thing is, like, so just shut up. So like the thing is that look. If the thing is that what he's saying is that your diagram and you're missing, you're so retarded that you can't even see what he's talking about.
No, can you just explain it to me without insulting me, you rude Yeah.
No. How about you just shut up for a second?
explain it, Issa. You don't have
All
to
right, look, check it
insult
like this.
me.
Okay,
You
look
can
like
just
this. Look like
explain it.
this.
Be a polite
You're not.
adult.
All right,
How old are you?
Okay, I'm old enough to tell you you're fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Yo.
Okay. Get it
Yo,
out
yo,
of
yo.
your system, then
That's
explain
about
it.
enough of that.
Hey, listen. What you're talking
Nathan.
about is the apparent position of Polaris. What you fools don't understand is what he's referring to is why that diagram is showing. What he was showing is why that diagram is showing what it's showing. And now
No,
you
I'd
don't
like you to
you don't
explain to me the
understand.
difference between isometric, or whatever he
Dude.
was saying, and trigonometry. I don't understand what he's saying. That's what I'm
Dude,
saying. I don't get.
you're
Can you
not
explain
in-
why trigonometry is not good enough?
Didn't we accept already that you're out of your league?
Well,
I can
you
define
said you
isometric
understand
if
it.
you'd
I'm just.
like.
At least I'm honest about
What
it.
he's
I don't
talking about.
understand.
Well, then just shut up and listen, because the point
No,
is
I'm
what
asking you
it's
to
about.
explain what I'm asking.
I can
Man,
define it. If
you
you guys are retarded. Go on, Chris.
Well, just don't.
Chris,
Well,
go
try
on.
and calm down.
Hey,
Issa.
yo, just shut the fuck up.
No,
Hey,
you calm
Isa,
down
like,
and explain
this is
it.
going to have to be a
bitch.
last warning.
No, you
know,
shut
you
up.
keep swearing. Everyone's quite high in their blood temperature. Calm down, take a breath. Please do not swear.
But you can understand, Nathan, if someone's just is calling you a fool
Shut up,
every
yo.
5 seconds. I mean, come on, just
This
be
is
polite.
productive.
Be a human
Very
being.
productive.
You're just too stupid, dude. That's
I
all.
thought you were really spiritual, Issa.
Yeah, I'm spirit. Yeah, it's
you
called
don't
righteous.
see me. You can't keep your temper, can you?
It's called righteous
Explain
indignation.
it. It seems like you don't really
Punk
Right,
ass.
I'm going to turn you all down while I welcome Physics Warrior, so at least the audience can hear me saying hello to our new guest. So good to... I'm sure I've got your name wrong already.
There you go.
So hopefully you can say hello, Physics, if you would. That would be really appreciated.
Sorry. Hi, Six.
Hello.
Or maybe not.
Do I have the floor now?
Yeah, explain it to these dumbass motherfuckers.
Well, because you can't.
All right. Y'all know about perspective projection, right? You know how we get that?
Okay. Really? But yeah.
You guys there?
Yeah. Hey, dude.
Do you guys know? What
Hey,
No,
I
I don't. You have to explain.
You know how perspective projection works?
Sorry, Chris.
Okay,
I'm going to give.
you guys-
Sorry, just to take
Sorry, you guys
control.
are trying to-
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry.
Sorry, bear with me. I just want to say hello to Physics, and then I'm going to give you the floor, Chris. I just want to say a quick hello and level him up and stuff, just so he can join in the debate. Hi, Physics. How you doing?
All right, I just jumped in. Good, thanks, Nathan. All right, it just looks like we're trying to use all different types of maths into a shape or into a linear perspective. Curves trying to be in a specific periphery, based on how he sees it. Also, is ISA. Now, trigonometry, it is really used to use your distance like a linear axis where you're physically at. That's why sextant is used. It's the actual look at the stars and where you're at. But if you want to know basically where you're at and the shape of it, I would definitely be looking at sea level and elevations and sagittal markers. Just if you want to look at the shape. Now, for the shape of it, if you want to use the measurement, I'll be using calculus. Guys want to go from point A to point B, and that it gets a little bit kind of jumbly, and it's what I'm getting is actually different types of maths and different types of perspectives. So if you want to keep it linear in the same exact periphery, I would definitely use a trig.
Sorry, can I just hand the floor to Chris? Thanks for that, Physics. Can I just hand the floor to Chris? He's been trying to get a word in for a while, and then I'll shut up as well.
Go ahead.
So we know how cameras work, right? Which would give us, on our eyeballs, which would give us a perspective projection, where you're looking at a very wide field of view, and then you have to curve and bend and squeeze through a lens onto a smaller sensor, right? Is that how perspective works to you guys? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand that lens, yeah.
Okay, so isometric projection would be a square instead of a trapezoid view container. And because the sensor is equally sized to the thing you're looking at, everything is perfectly square, right? And, architects use isometric projection when they draw their buildings so they can get a nice right angle look at it. Perspective, of course, gives you what a person would see the building as.
Right, okay, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And then we have equations and matrices to transform between those two spaces. And then you have to apply that transform if you're going from, let's say you have data that's optically taken from a camera. You have to then run it through a transform to get the isometric view.
Is that similar to what like a lens correction is in post-production?
Not exactly. Lens correctors work just on the pixels themselves, and they
right. Yeah.
They match. They try to invert the transform that the sphere made of the lens, because not just this rectilinear lens. It's a more spherical. And then of course they approximate. They don't get it perfect. Sometimes there's errors and little bubbles and stuff because of the data loss or something. But yeah.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. So that's to do with calculations, basically, or mathematics, which I'm terrible at. But you're talking about going from a sort of a square, a rectilinear. What did you say it's called?
Oh, rectilinear is the projection on the sensor. Isometric is the actual, what you see is projected so that all lines are equal to each pixel would be looking at one thing that it looks at. So what the problem is, we can't build an isometric camera in real world because the sensor would have to be as big as the world you're taking a picture of.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? All the lines would be straight, and then you'd see the Earth for what it really was if you had an isometric camera. So there you go.
Got ya. So but why is that not suitable then for calculating?
Well, the data we have is like, ESIS pictures and these other pictures we got. We'd have to run a transform on those images to get them what they'd square. And of course, we're zooming in so much. There's so much diffraction. The light waves are moving up and down and bouncing off here and there that you don't know what you're looking at anymore. So there is no way to tell, mathematically anyway. There are two solutions, equally valid. And mathematicians have said this too.
And so when we're measuring the stars at different, I don't know, was it latitudes or something? Are we then using pictures to determine that, or are we taking it?
Using your eyeball, and you're shooting.
They're just using the eyeball, right? Okay.
Yeah, if you're shooting light rays from something that's smaller than the thing you're looking at, you have to squeeze it, and the stuff bends. It's just, you can't tell what you're looking at. If you don't know the absolute size of it, the thing you're looking at, there's no way to tell how far away it is either. You'd have to guess the size as well. That's why they have to inflate the stars so big. They have to make them big because of the sizes they had to put them at. It was just because it has to be.
Chris, we're not talking about at the moment, and I certainly have not been talking about determining the distance to a star.
Right. I just wanted to make an example.
You realize that, right?
That's why the results are the way they are.
I was speaking simply about a measure of angle. Comparing one line of sight to another.
Put it through a transformation.
One line of sight to another.
Well, you go ahead. Line of sight.
You go ahead and run that through a transformation if that makes you happy. Yeah, you can feel like you've done your job running it through the transformation.
Y'all cannot understand the duality of stuff. That's a damn shame. I feel bad for the people that know you in the real world. Straight up, man.
Yeah, we get it. You're way better than us. So can we move on?
Just you, bud. Just you.
Yeah, just me. But can we move on?
I mean, what's your background, Kurt? What do you do? Do you have an understanding of math? Do you apply math every day, or
nothing high level?
Reading. You like calculus, or?
No, I don't do calc.
Well, are you familiar with linear algebra and those fields of study? No?
It's basic.
It's been a long time since I did any algebra.
You know any computer graphics stuff? You've ever built a game engine or something?
Nope. Don't need to. I don't deal with that stuff. I'm dealing with simple issues here.
Well, what's your background, though? Just curious.
Nothing related to the shape of the Earth.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
This doesn't take a lot of education to figure out, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Well, there's some fields of study that have, learned other things besides what was, commonly taught in school.
I'm not using things I was not commonly taught the sphere. I don't believe the sphere because I was taught it.
That's good.
I've reasoned it through. I've taken a look at the evidence available, and there's plenty of it available. And I see it for what it is. It's that simple.
We've been joined by Lottie Says. Any chance you can turn your camera off? But good to have you here, Lottie, just so we can see your icon when you speak. Same goes for you, Chris. If you can just turn your camera off, it will mean we get your icon when you're talking rather than a black page. But good to have you here, Lottie.
Lottie, momentous occasion here.
Lottie, I've never spoken to Lottie.
I'm excited.
Oh, I'm hyped.
All right.
Lottie says what?
Come on, Lottie, speak.
Yo.
Yo.
Is that it?
Casey's not there.
Can you say a bit more just so I can level you up?
I can't hear him.
Maybe not going to say anything. If we don't hear anything from Lottie, you're going to get booted because I can't risk you just being here to do something you shouldn't. So if you could just say a hello, that'd be great.
Oh, guys, I put something in the back links just in case you, before you guys jump out or something.
Oh, he's getting his settings sorted, he says in chat.
Oh, all right,
So
okay.
he's trying.
Well, for the time being,
His
I'll leave
mic
it on
isn't
our...
working.
The photographs will stay up until we figure out what's going on with Lottie, and then, yeah. Anyway, I'll leave you guys to it.
Hello?
Hey, Lottie, at the top of your Hangout screen there, you've got that little gear that says settings. Do you have the correct microphone selected?
Damn, for somebody that talks a lot of shit in the chat, can't even work the mic and shit. What's up, Lottie?
Right, so while those guys are fiddling around with Lottie, I'm going to do a quick link. They can hear me in the chat, but hopefully they'll carry on figuring out Lottie's mic, or Lottie will continue to figure out, or he will continue to figure out his mic. But yes, if you are new to this show, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this show, there is a super chat that runs alongside the main show. The show will continue for about another 25 minutes, so if you did want to join to express your views on the shape of the Earth, there is a link in the info box below this video. With your watch page muted, simply click on that link and join the show live. There are only a couple of sweary rules. One that Issa's on the fine line of getting booted out for, if I'm ruthlessly honest. So please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected eventually. So Issa's probably, as I say, on his last warning. But yes, if you do get ejected, you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. But please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts if you do eventually get ejected. Other than that, you are free to express your views by clicking on the link in the info box below this video. Once more, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. I'm going to transition back to my photos while we have one last attempt to get Lottie working, and then it may be the case. Oh, it looks like we've got her working. Let's have a look.
I'm here. Hello, guys.
Hey.
How's everyone?
What's happening, Lottie?
Lottie.
Because I made it.
Excellent. Good to have you here, Lottie.
Is this
Hey,
your
Lottie.
first hangout, Lottie?
So,
No, I've done some before.
Awesome. Still a rare appearance, still just
My-
the same.
Yeah, first time on this platform.
I got to take a quick minute to deal with my background noise and all that. I got to move locations.
All right, Curve, go ahead.
What's going down, people?
I don't know. I can't even remember what we're arguing about.
I'm just exposing Cat Earth and curved water real quick. You know how we do, Lottie? You know how I do it? What's good, brother? How are you, man?
I'm alright.
Word up. Yeah,
So we're
Kat,
friends
like,
now,
you're-
Issa.
dude,
You've
we're always
forgiven me.
yo,
You
man.
sound
dude,
more
we're-
friendly now.
Man, come on, man. This is the debate. It's just like, we get into it. And,
I
the
know.
deal, bro. You crack me up, man. I could not like you, dude.
Oh, I'm glad.
That's and that's also the thing too. Is like too many people like get all fucking affiliated with this conversation, and like, what? Honestly, I gotta say this too, Kat. It's like the only reason I get upset when I'm talking to people is that I give a shit about them. Oh, am I gonna get kicked? What do you call it? Like, because I care about somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that's it, really. I get upset when if I like curved water. I like you. I don't want to. I mean, we can bust it up. I like curved, but what I mean is that like it's this ability to just even think outside of the parameters that we've been given, and that's the biggest thing that I face and we see every day. I walk by 1,000 people every day that don't think, but when I get a chance to talk to a brother like yourself, who's on the, we have this one differing opinion. But yet we can't actually discuss the topic because of some inability to take an imaginative leap there if need be, even though it's mathematically, like the gentleman Chris had said, and I'd love to know your channel, Chris. This mathematics has many answers. I've said this before. There's so many ways to it's like, one plus, it's like, the idea that 2 + 3 = 5, but so does 1 + 4. And so it's like, just because if someone's going to get sold on 3 + 2 is the only way to get to 5, and you're trying to explain to them that 1 + 4 does it as well, and they're just like, nope, 3 + 2 = 5. Like, it gets that frustrating, bro. So, and I care about you, dude. I don't want you to be limited in this freaking mental prison that they've got set up for you.
But also you have to understand that from my point of view, it's just the opposite. I think the same. So we have to stay calm when we're trying to talk to each other because. You think I'm like indoctrinated, but I think you're indoctrinated. You see what I mean? So, we've got to respect that. Everyone's going to have different opinions, man.
Right, but here's the thing, though, Catter. The thing is this, though.
Yeah.
I have, I've come to respect both sides of the argument. Whereas, it appears that you guys just straight up negate the other mathematical solution, which to me is intellectually dishonest.
Yeah, but the trouble is, the reason, I may not understand all the points, the exact points being made by Chris, but there is it's not just that. I mean, yeah, you're saying
hold on.
Sorry, guys. Before you get into a back and forth, I just want to introduce Spurskimo. So we've got Spurskimo on the panel. Good to have you, Spurskimo. Thank you for being here.
Hello, you can hear me. Just checking my microphone, so I don't have to do it in a while. You can hear me all right, yeah?
Yeah, sounds
good. Yeah, you're a little bit loud, but I'll turn you down. But yeah, you're good.
But forgive me, I forget my point. But the idea is that we're just looking. There's another mathematical solution, and if you're going to limit yourself and not see the other mathematics that is established, like Chris pointed out, that it's accepted that there's two mathematical perspectives. That's just a matter of fact. Whether or not you want to agree with that.
Is this a bad time to ask the other mathematical perspective for the diagram I was showing? I'd like for you to see how the math works with your
it was already explained
with the ship and all that, with the boat and the sail and all that. No, it hasn't been explained. What's the mathematical explanation for all that?
It was explained pretty good by Good Times for All.
Yeah, you didn't get it.
You're not Good Times for All.
No, the gentleman just explained what he was talking about.
The video, he goes in the textbook about vision. It's not
good enough here, though. You can't talk about
complete all of them mathematical explanations. Because we have to assume that we live on a ball that is 24,000 miles all the way around. So from that starting point, all the math goes out the window until you can prove we live on a ball. There's no proof for any of the balls. So jumping straight into the math is not going to help.
Well, there's not proof for either. The proof is on the moon.
Concrete proof. You have to turn your mic up because I can't really hear you, man.
I think it's not just the math that's going to help. I think it's still, again, it's going to be perspective. So if it is the model that that's separating us, the best way is actually just like any MMA lit fighter. Take both models and become like that master of those two models. Whether it's helio, whether it's a sphere, or whether it's flat or squared. But just to keep the conversation and discussion moving forward, I believe that to actually know these both models, we can explain the perspective much more clearly. Again, I sent some links in the back, so and just look at it and see, so you see what I see. Now just
cool.
And my response.
Yeah.
The point is, though, that there's two equally valid explanations, and that's what we're discussing here. And the idea is that some people have chosen one, and some people have chosen the other. But these both explanations are valid, and they're worthy of consideration. I think we're all.
I'm not sure how equal it is because you're saying that the stars have to be a lot closer, and then there's
Here,
a whole
here.
lot of problems with that.
Who said that?
Oh, I thought you were saying because
Not
of
for the flat Earth side.
Yeah,
Not for the flat Earth side. It doesn't.
Right, but that's.
Oh, it doesn't have to be close. Oh,
It does no. It doesn't have to be for a flat Earth either. The point is that it's all presupposition. And as we've stated before, if we don't know the size of a star, we can't guess its.
But I mean, if it wasn't like far, if it wasn't like really close, then wouldn't you see like Polaris from Antarctica or something?
On a Helios perspective, you're looking for Polaris is going to be millions and millions and millions and millions of miles away. But if in a flat perspective, it's local, it's orbit. So I can't explain any simple.
Well, yeah, no, but it could be is the thing, and that's the safest thing is for myself. It could be that it's more local, and the idea is that if that's we don't have any. We've been so given the celestial sphere and so much that now coming to our senses and looking into so many other topics and now realizing maybe we should trust ourselves and that we are scientists, despite some people's inability,
I don't know about
whatever.
that, man.
I know, I got it.
That's what I realized, man. I'm not that smart.
No, brother, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I am. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right, nobody asked you though. So the thing is, what I'm saying is that it's a social fucking thing. You got to, pardon me, it's a social thing. You just got to get used to it. The thing is, so it's not directed at you, Kat. So
it's all right. It's all right. That wasn't me, by the way. I didn't do nothing.
No, that was me. I booted him. I've asked him about 10 times. He just continually swears.
Okay.
Hopefully next time. There's only 15 minutes left anyway, so I'm going to do a quick plug to anybody who wants to come in and do any last-minute trolling. So that's exactly what I'll do now. If you did want to join the show, please feel free to click on the link in the info box below this video to join the show and debate the shape of the Earth live. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. The only other rule is please do not try to rejoin the show once you have been ejected. You will be warmly welcome back on the next show. If you did want to support the show, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll go back to the action. Thanks for bearing with me, guys.
Oh.
Action. Your baby is Nathan. Star of the show. Anyway, I'll say the point I was going to say when I was trying to interrupt Teaser. I just think that no, I don't think we are all scientists. I think that's the point. There's a lot of people in the world who study a lot of different things, and it's a bit silly to think you can just jump in quickly and learn things. I mean, I know people make the arguments of indoctrination, but I think you have to really study something to know whether you've been indoctrinated or you're learning something, that is works, is testable and repeatable. That is science. So I don't know. I just disagree with that point that we're all scientists, because I'm certainly not a scientist. Anyway, sorry. That was just all I was going to say. Is that the end then? Did I kill it?
It can't be the end. I've just got here.
I mean, look, they keep talking about scientists and science. You need common sense. Yeah, we get told many things by the scientists, but they're just theories. They're there to theorize and tell us how things should be. If you're not, if you're ignorant and lazy to not do anything for yourself, of course you're going to rely on these guys. And like I say, the whole measurement thing is flawed, because we don't know the distance, we don't know the actual size of the Earth. Be a 24,000 circumference if there's no ball. That's yet to be proven.
So when you say using common sense, I really agree with I think that's what got me into flat Earth, right? Just using your common sense. And then I was like, yeah, it makes sense, right? With your experiences. But then how does it make sense when the sun and the moon aren't changing size when they set, or the stars, like we were talking about, the southern celestial and the north celestial poles, and at the equator they're going straight over your head. I mean, how is that common sense?
These are phenomena that we have to kind of either deal with or investigate. If we just accept, I mean, like you're saying, well, why does this happen? This is something that we should be investigating. They either have the answer, which they're not revealing, or they're actually leaving it to us to try to find out and figure it out for ourselves. It happens. We don't know why it happens, why it doesn't change size. There's more to it than it's not just as simple as, you know, what we see. For me, when I hear,
but then you can understand that common sense would dictate that it's round to a lot of people just from those simple things, you know, seeing and appearing to see. You may have a different explanation, but appearing to see things go over the horizon.
Before you answer that, Spurs, I just want to say a quick
hello
hello
to
Nick.
That's the key word there.
Sorry, Spurs. I just want to say a quick hello to Nick L. We've been joined by Nick. Can you just say a quick hello?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thanks a lot.
Hello, Nick.
Hey,
Good to have you here.
Hey, Nick.
Good evening.
Hey up, Nick.
Right, Kurt, how's it going?
Very well.
Okay, yeah, so that's the thing, you see, the appearance. Yeah, we agree. It does look like the ships go over the horizon. I agree. It does look like that, but we have to investigate that. We have to test that.
Why would they appear to do that?
Again, you know, you're asking me these questions, and again, these are the questions that
My fault. I withdraw the question. I apologize. I should know.
To say that it's a ball. To say that it's a ball if it's curved.
That's still a good question.
Is not the actual answer, because we've done tests to prove that it was not going to have a curvature. So we have to find something else. If you seriously want to know why does that happen, why does it look like that, then you have to dig deeper. You have to investigate.
Is it possible that your tests are what are in error, that are giving you what you believe is the result of, you know, proof that it's flat? Maybe that's what's in error, and the boats actually are going over the horizon. Are you open-minded enough to entertain that possibility, Spurs Schema?
Well, of course, if you're saying that something is going over the horizon, going down, then it can be tested. So you would have to give me your test of how you prove that it's actually going down. Not just observing it. You would have to demonstrate this, and it would have to be something that's repeatable. So we find that when we look at different horizon images, they're not consistent. They're different every time. There's, you know, some you see half a ship, sometimes you see water, then it looks like a mirroring, then it looks like horizon. Nobody can actually point out the actual horizon. So the repeatable is not something that we can rely on. Yeah, because we all observe something different. Yeah, do you accept that? Do you agree that we all observe
the anomalies are not
something different when
the anomalies are not always there? We do have pictures of observations.
You're saying it's not the same. That's my point. Our friend here was saying that it goes over the horizon, and I'm saying that
yes,
it's observable but not repeatable, because
it is.
Took a photograph.
Yes, it is repeatable. It is repeated. It was repeated frame after frame after frame in Wide Awake's video.
No, because
Wide Awake,
if you did this, hold on, if you did this 360 degrees, like photograph, you know, in a turn, your results would be completely different.
Well, yeah, you're only going to have the ship in the frame when you're pointed at the frame.
We're talking about objects that are going over the apparent horizon. That's what we're talking about. So the same distance is all the way around 360 degrees. And if you were to take a photograph of each turn, like a photograph turn, each degree, you would find huge inconsistencies. So that's not the way you guys are observing the horizon is not the way to test ships going over the horizon.
What inconsistencies would you observe?
Yeah, what sort of inconsistencies?
Sorry?
Yeah, anybody else feel free to jump on his nonsense, please.
Well, I think that's the point, you see. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. We need testable, repeatable, observable. We have the observable. Yes, it all looks like it appears. Our friend here said it appears like the ship goes over. So how do you explain that? So we have to look deeper and investigate further as to why that's happening. To say it's a ball and curvature is not the answer.
Why not?
Because curvature hasn't been proven.
It hasn't been proven. You're staring at the evidence, and I dare say proof, and saying it hasn't been proven.
How many photographs have we seen where we see different videos where we can't see the true horizon? In almost every video, it's different. So we can't use
Right, I'm going to turn down the volume on those guys just so I can let the audience know with a proper link without my child climbing all over me that we are going to round out this show in about 5 minutes time. So I'm going to go through all of my links. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to join the panel, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click on that link with your watch page muted to do any last minute trolling or debate the shape of the Earth with anybody who's currently on the panel. You have about 2 or 3 minutes left to do so. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show. I will come back one last time just to thank the audience, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll transition back to the action.
Of Earth. For me, I find that impossible in this day and age.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, there should be hundreds of photographs of the ball.
What flat Earth proof do you have that's relevant?
No, whether it's relevant or not, but I'm saying for me, that's what brings doubt. Why it's
really doesn't matter. So what do you have that's relevant that is flat Earth proof? Because you say you know it's flat, so therefore you have to find another explanation for why it appears like a globe.
No, I'm in the debate because of what it. Look, we're both in this because of what things appear. We're in the same position. We're both on the panel, so it appears.
So you don't know it's
flat, and it appears flat to me. Unless I have a rocket, then it appears flat. Unless you have a rocket, I have a rocket. Then
why does it appear flat?
Sorry.
Why does it appear flat? I'm not trying to be rude and interrupt you. I'm just trying to keep you on track. I'm trying to keep you from dodging and diverting from the actual question.
Yeah, but what do you mean? So, why does it appear flat?
Why does it appear flat to you?
Simple question, Kat. Go ahead. Just naturally.
Well, it's like if I take a plank of wood and I'm trying to, level it on something, and if it appears flat, I would go with it that it's flat until you prove otherwise.
I'll accept that.
Do you think that's? Oh, thank you. Do you think that's a reasonable way to approach something the size of the Earth?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Until you prove otherwise, that's what I'm going with. It appears flat.
We're talking about your claim that you've proven the Earth is flat.
Yeah,
the Earth is flat
many times.
Why?
It's impossible. Why? I've demonstrated many times that to see the sunset going down and you were to rise up, disappeared over the horizon, for you to see that sun again, you would have to look down. Going up.
Right.
Establish
and that absolutely is expected in the sphere, not on the flat Earth. The flat Earth, the sun shouldn't even be at the horizon on any kind of flat Earth.
Well, I don't know how you explain that because it happens. It's happening. We see it every day.
It's like airplanes.
It's the sphere, Joker.
Again, you're talking about what should be. You haven't proven with.
No, we're talking about that's evidence for the sphere. It's a strike for the flat Earth. It's evidence for the sphere. The big point here is you claim that you have
the sun doesn't rise. We've shown that.
What?
People have recorded the sun from America to Europe, and they follow the sun, chase the sun.
From America to Europe.
Yeah.
From America to Europe.
So the sun didn't set for him. He followed it all the way. It wasn't a problem.
No idea.
Doing the tests, we're doing the groundwork here, and this is why we believe that the Earth has to be flat. There's no way it can be a ball. It cannot be moving. It cannot be spinning. The arguments are just what it should be if it's 24,000 miles all the way around. That's all we have. That's all we have to go up.
But don't you think as well, common sense would also dictate that, like, what would you think that a few people are figuring this out who aren't having expertise in a lot of these fields for a long time, aren't expert at their cameras and their maths and all this, or that every scientist who studies this for
And with that, I am going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to the audience for joining us on this live stream. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.